Hello, Master Numerologist Andre Alvin Moore, and today's lesson is entitled "Spirit of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is Back." A few videos back, I made, I tried to make my case where I felt that the number six is needed more so than the number seven, because the number six rules love for humanity, and the number seven rules, love for God. And I stated that you really cannot love God until you love self, and that you really can't love God until you love your brother. So the sixth level is what is needed, um, as opposed to the number seven. Okay, so I'm observing and focusing on what's been happening in the state of Georgia these past few months. I'm sitting in meditation when the Lord spoke to me and laid this in my heart that Dr. Martin Luther King's Jr. work is not finished. Okay, so on April the 4th, 1968, the prophet Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated at the tender age of 39. King was booked in room 306 at the Lorraine Motel, and as he stood outside in front of his room when he was shot down, when he was assassinated. So King's exit numbers are 446. Okay? The first four comes from April. The second four comes from the day of his assassination. And for those that have a keen eye, the 446 pattern, you notice the master number of 44 will give us an indicator of his mastership, that he was definitely sent specifically to earth to do a specific job, a prophet. So his exit numbers are 446, and his soul left its body on a 5 vibration. And number 5 is a freedom fighter. So if you add his three exit numbers, the 4, 4, and 6, you're going to get 14, and 1 plus 4 equals 5. And that was his number that he left his body on, which is the 5 is the freedom fighter. Okay. So the double fours are indicators that his approach towards liberating others from injustice and inequities was based on laying down strong foundations based on a practical approach. Dr. Martin Luther King approach was nonviolent, which he studied the great liberator of India, the Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi also used nonviolent techniques to liberate India from the British. Okay, so master number 44 came as a master strategist, bringing a blueprint that set the guidelines for bringing about justice. This strategy has been carried forward and adopted by many social activists. So those four energies are indicators that this is a prophet that that use a strategy. For an example, um, when Rosa Parks decided to not to give up her seat and she was arrested, the strategy was that we will not use the bus system until justice was given. And so for a whole year, people of color boycotted the buses, hid them in their pockets, and change came about. But that was a strategy, and it took discipline to be able to um, carry out that strategy until the desired results. So that's what a four do. It lays down a strategy, but it also has the discipline to execute it. Okay. Now his third exit point, which is number six. Remember, 446. So the third one is number six, is associated with society. And his real number that he was assassinated in was 306. So you see that six energy hanging really close there, highlights his mission to instill humanity into a society that has lost its humanity. So one of his primary missions was to try to get America to be more humane to all Americans, and that's what the six energy and the nine energy represents, humanity. And so the 306 room number is a nine vibration, and the nine energy always encompasses the totality of the human experiences. Okay, so it was to instill humanity into a society that has lost its humanity. And if you turn the six around, his age is revealed. So he was assassinated at age 39. His room number was 306. But if you turn the six around, flip the six into a nine, your his age is revealed because he left at 39 and 306. The six reverse is a 39 energy. Just another cosmic indicator. If you can follow the thread on how cosmic events happens, that was another clue that there was a cosmic hand at play. Okay, so his age cycles number 39 blends into the voice because 3 plus 9 is 12, and 1 plus 2 is 3, and the 3 energy always comes from the throat, right? It's an orator, it's a speaker, it's a communicator, and he was known for his ability to speak with power and authority. Now, Dr. King's missions were cut short by that uh, assassin's bullet. Okay. Now, Dr. King was born in Atlanta, Georgia on January the 15th, 1929. And so his entries numbers is 163. January being the number one, on the 15th, 1 and 5 is 6. 1929 would be a 21, and 2 plus 1 makes you 3. So his entry numbers is 163 with a life destiny of number 1. Okay, because 1 plus 6 plus 3 is 10, and breaks down to his life destiny number of 1. Now, King's third birth cycle contains double nines, 1929. You see the double nines hanging there, right? And number nine also sits between his second and third birth cycle. So his second birth cycle is number 6, and his third birth cycle is number 3. And 6 plus 3 gives you a hidden 9 that you don't see, but nevertheless the influence is there. And then you do see the double nines in his birth year of 1929. Okay, so these three nines offer us valuable information about his primary mission from his last incarnation. His primary mission from his last incarnation was to reach out um, for humanity, to instill in humanity in an inhumane world. That was his primary mission. Now, Dr. King's departure number, which is the number 5, that comes from his exit numbers, which is 446, which is 14. 1 plus 4 is 5, which is a 5. When combined with his life destiny number of number 1, the leader, brings us back to the number 6, because 5 plus 1 is 6. The number 6 and 9 works in unison to bring down injustice and weaves the concept of love and unity into the consciousness and subconsciousness into our inner space. That's the energy he was trying to drop into our inner space to try to teach us how to see each other as each other and not the other. Okay? To not to see the separation, but to see the unification. Okay. So Dr. King came as a leader, which is the number 1, to show us how to overcome hate with love through the concept of non-violence, a freedom fighter using the tool of love. Okay, let's continue. Now, Dr. King's father, the Reverend Martin Luther King Sr., served as assistant pastor to Reverend Williams from 1927 to 1930. Reverend King Sr. became the pastor of Ebenezer in 1931. In the fall of 1947, which was a three universal year, when you add those four sub elements together, Martin Luther King delivered his first sermon at the pulpit of Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta. So the three energy rules, like I said, divorce. And so he gave his first sermon in 1947. So he delivered his first sermon at the pulpit of Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta. Ebenezer's congregation voted to license King as a minister soon afterward, and he was ordained in February of 1948, which is a master universal year of a 22. Another indicator that um, reveals his his ability to achieve his objective. He came with a tremendous amount of master power to be able to flip that script from hatred to love, a heavy lift, and that's what a 22 does. Is a heavy lifter. It has the strength to be a heavy lifter, and to flip that script from hatred to love require someone with the strength to make that happen. And so he was ordained in February 1948, which is the master year of 22. So Dr. King went on to serve, Dr. King Jr. went on to serve as Ebenezer's associate minister during his breaks from the Crozer Theological Seminary and from his doctoral studies at Boston University through early 1954. He returned as co-pastor with his father, Martin Luther King Sr., serving from 1916 to his assassination in 1968. In 2005, which is a seven universal year, the dynamic leadership of Reverend Dr. Raphael G. Warnock assumed the role of senior pastor. So the number seven rules all things spiritual. And in 205, the leadership of Reverend Dr. Raphael G. Warnock assumed the role of the senior pastor. Dr. Warnock is only the fifth member to lead the Ebenezer congregation in its 131-year history. On January the 19th, 2021, Georgia certified Senate victory of Reverend Warnock, and on January the 20th, 2021, Vice President Harris swears in Raphael Warnock as the first black senator elected from the state of Georgia. On March the 25th, 2021, which was a sixth universal day, Georgia's Governor Kemp signed into law a Jim Crow voting bill under a painting of a slave plantation. State Representative Park Cannon, a Democrat from Atlanta, is placed into the back of a Georgia State Capitol Patrol car after being arrested by Georgia's state troopers at the Georgia State Capitol building in Atlanta. On Thursday, March 25th, 2021, Cannon was arrested by Capitol Police after she attempted to knock on the door of Governor Brian Kemp's office during his remarks after he signed into law a sweeping Republican sponsored overhaul of state elections that includes new restrictions on voting by mail and greater legislative control over how elections are run. State Representative Park Cannon was charged with two felony counts that has since uh, been dropped. So, the injustice, the very thing that King came to incarnate, to fight against, is rearing its ugly head in the state of Georgia. When Governor Kemp signed that bill prohibiting access to the voting boxes under a, a picture of a southern plantation that has a very direct relationship to the inhumane treatment that slaves had to endure. Okay, so let's continue on. A state representative Park Cannon was released from jail when United States Senator Raphael Warnock called on her behalf. State Representative Park Cannon is a member of Ebenezer Baptist Church, and Reverend Warnock is her pastor. So there is a direct line there. Dr. Martin Luther King Sr., Ebenezer, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. comes out of that vibration. The mantle was handed to Reverend Warnock, the very first black senator to come out of the state of Georgia. Representative Park Cannon is charged with two felonies of obstructing um, justice at the state capitol, even though she is a state representative and she had the right to be represented inside of that room where they were signing this racist anti-voting bill, is arrested. Her pastor, Senator Raphael Warnock, gets her release and the charges are dropped. That is a timeline, okay? A direct timeline. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was ordained as a spiritual leader of men, springing forth from Ebenezer Baptist Church's heartbeat, fighting in the name of the Lord for justice and freedom for all. This torch of light has been handed down to Reverend Raphael Warnock, with Dr. King leading the way from the higher spheres. So Dr. Martin Luther King's work was cut short. The mantle is being handed to Reverend Warnock and others such as Stacey Abrams to continue to flip the script from hatred to love. And this is where we at right now in our society, because we're observing how many states are trying to turn the clock backwards, but they will not succeed because the prophets are coming forward, being led by Dr. Martin Luther King's spirit of non-violence. The name Martin contains 6 letters, and number 6 rules the heart. And the heart symbolizes compassion and love. Letter M vibrates on the 4th level. The 4 is a floor, sturdy and dependable. Each structure must have a strong foundation. Without it, it cannot withstand the vigors of opposition that assaults it. Letter A vibrates on the 1st level. Number 1, gifted with the ability to lead, to direct, to take charge. It stands on the front line, the first to encounter the harsh blows of hatred and racism. Letter R vibrates on the 9th level, having an ability to feel for oppressed people and a willingness to stand firm to fight for equality regardless of race, gender, creed, or religion. Letter T vibrates on the 2nd level, weighing both sides of an issue to render solutions based on fairness. Letter I vibrates on the 9th level, doing good work not based on ego, but a willingness to work on behalf of the oppressed and downtrodden. Letter N vibrates on the 5th level, instinctively knowing that time is short, so one must act swiftly to accomplish the task at hand. The number pattern for Martin is 419295. It leads with the sure footiness of numbers 4 and 1 and ends with the swiftness of number 5 and the compassion of the number pattern 929. Under closer observation, number pattern 929 contains hidden, powerful master digits. Numbers 9 and 2, when blended, reveal hidden master number 11. And numbers 2 and 9, when blended, reveals another hidden master number 11. When these two secret master numbers of 11s are blended, the influential strategist, the master builder 22, is shown. Number pattern 419295 blends into the compound number 30, the gifted orator. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. incarnated to pull the covers off for hatred, racism, injustice, and inequality, to expose the horror laying beneath. His mission was cut short due to hate and bigotry. He left for a short time, but his spirit has returned. So this is what God laid into my heart, that the spirit of Dr. Martin Luther King is back. And for those that got eyes, let them see. You are observing the battle. We're on the battlefield right now. We're fighting for justice for all. And I believe in my spirit that this time we will win, because we're understanding the power of unity, of togetherness. Okay? So just keep your eyes on the events that's taking place in America and around the world, and you will observe how this battle is being acted out. Okay? For those that are familiar with the Bhagavad Gita, it speaks about a battle, the battle of good versus evil. And so each and every one of us is a soldier that's on that battlefield. And you must ask yourself, are you standing for righteousness, or are you standing for evil? All right. So until the next video, peace.